Hi, you're watching West Bloomfield 911. I'm your host, Tim Shepard, and on behalf of Chief Michael Patton and Deputy Chief Kurt Lawson and my brothers and sisters in blue, I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Joining me today is Lisa Berkey. Lisa is the Executive Director of the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition. Alongside Lisa on the show today is Anthony Grupido, a local magician and youth advocate. So welcome you both. Thank you for being on the show today. Lisa, I'm going to start with you. And the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition goes by the acronym GWBCC.
Correct.
So all the viewers can, if they see that, they know what we're talking about. So can you tell me, how did you get involved with the coalition?
I've been involved as an employee since back probably in 2010. I interviewed, I was very interested in it because it was helping the youth in our community.
Okay.
And at that point I had a middle schooler and I was like, wanted to learn what they were doing so I could help my own child. And then in 2013, I took over as executive director.
Okay, sweet. Are there other employees, or is it volunteer work, or what's the staff like?
At this point, I am the only employee and I am part-time. Otherwise, we have a board of directors and all volunteers helping us with the programs.
Great. So the big question of the day is, what is and what does the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition do?
The Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition started as a drug and alcohol prevention education program for our youth as well as parents in our community. Over the years it has expanded because other things coexist with drug and alcohol prevention. Okay. So we also do mental health education, empowerment education, electronic footprint, anti-bullying. So we've expanded because problems coexist with alcohol and drug addiction.
Absolutely, and I think, so let me get this clear, is it primarily based towards youth?
We do both. We
Okay.
do programming in the schools for our youth here in West Bloomfield, but we'll also provide programming to parents because parents need help as well.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. And so it's called Greater West Bloomfield. What does that encompass? Is there other areas that are involved with this coalition?
Yes, here in West Bloomfield, in our school district, we have kids from Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, and Kego Harbor as well. So that's why it's Greater West Bloomfield.
Okay, that's wonderful. You know, I am on the board, so I come as well. So I'm familiar with what the coalition does, and I'm new to the board, so for me it's still a learning process. So I'm glad to have you on the program today to get this out to the public and let them know what's going on. As far as the coalition, you say there's a lot of programs. You go to different schools. Do you go to medical buildings like the hospitals and stuff, or?
We have community partnerships with Henry Ford Hospital and Beaumont Hospital, and we do some programming in the demonstration kitchen at Henry Ford Hospital. Okay. We do about 2 programs a year in the evening. That's where we'll host our parent programs. Okay.
And as far as people being able to, do you take volunteers? Can people donate to the coalition? Are there charities, any of that kind of stuff that we can?
Definitely.
Okay.
So we're a nonprofit, and we build our community relations with people in the community to help us fund the coalition. So we have a partnership with, like I said, Henry Ford or La Fontaine, Orchard Mall. But we also have a main fundraiser always in March to raise funds so we can get programs into the schools.
Let's talk about this year's fundraiser and how it went, and was it beneficial? Did you guys do well? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, definitely. It was in March, and it was an amazing fundraiser. Okay. It was at Plantera, and Plantera, along with Continental Catering, were our sponsors. Nice. They sponsored the entire event, and it was a gorgeous, gorgeous event. And we had about 150 people, a lot of new faces.
That's a great turnout.
It was a great turnout.
Yeah.
And we had Roop Raj from Fox 2 News. He was running the event for us and talking and getting people to bid, which was great. Nice. We had the West Bloomfield Jazz Band there. Everything was just wonderful, and yes, we definitely raised funds. We're always looking to raise more and have more people at the event so we can have more programs each year.
Absolutely. As far as people donating, just on a daily basis, or how can they get in contact with you? Is there a website? Is there?
Yes, definitely. Our website, www.gwbcoalition.org.
Okay, so that's great, and I know Anthony's here today, so we're going to talk with Anthony a little bit as well. So as far as the programming, I know Anthony has been involved, so
Yes.
As far as programming with Anthony, let's talk more about what the programs have been in the past.
Yes.
And how Anthony got involved.
Definitely.
Okay.
So at the elementary school level, we have a program called Kids in Charge, and that has been in West Bloomfield for over 25 years, and that is elementary education, 1st through 5th grade.
Okay.
It's about 1,900 students every year
That's
getting
huge.
Education through us on prevention.
What kind of prevention? I don't mean to interrupt you.
Drug and alcohol
Okay.
prevention. We start with tobacco. We start. We talk about prescription drugs. We do talk about marijuana and other products, but we always make it age appropriate. So, as an example, when in kindergarten we talk about how bad it is for smoking. We also will talk about, if someone offers you something like a pill and you don't know what it is, you don't take it from strangers. You only take that from mom and dad. The other thing in the elementary schools that we've done is more of an anti-bully program and an empowerment. And Anthony recently has been in our elementary schools talking to our kids about anti-bullying. He also has come to our middle schools to talk to the kids about more anti-bullying and mental health. And he's also been to our high school. So we do programming at all levels.
Okay.
At the middle school, we will bring in programming on drug and alcohol prevention, internet safety, mental health, and the same with the high school. We work with the principals to decide what the most important information is that they need.
Okay.
We also look at survey results. We survey our students every other year, and we decide together what we need to bring in, and those have been the most important topics.
Let me ask you this: as far as the surveys, I know we talked before about, excuse me, the kids going to college, and I know that there was some talk and some resources to seniors, particularly, that are going to college and what to expect.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that is all about?
Sure. We had an intern this year, and she designed a flyer to put in our senior all-night party bags.
Okay.
And it was items on it to help the kids once they get to college, if they're going to drink, how to make it safe.
Okay.
We don't encourage that.
Right.
We know that they will try it, though, and we
Be
want
realistic about
Right.
the potential these kids might do something.
Not sugarcoating anything.
Yeah, which is, I
Exactly.
think, a wonderful way. Let's not keep our head in the sand. Let's be realistic about the potential.
But we want them to be safe about it.
Absolutely.
We want them to make sure, we talked about binge drinking in there and what that is and the dangers of binge drinking. Making sure you eat and drink lots of water. And again, we tell them even in college not to take open drinks or anything from people you don't know. Always be safe.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, it seems like the coalition really serves these children and parents from youth to college, really.
Yes. Yes.
And as far as Anthony, we're going to get to you right now, Anthony, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about you and what you do and how you two got together. So let's start with, first of all, how did you meet Anthony?
So we are one of 19 coalitions in Oakland County,
Okay.
and we get together with all the coalitions and we network once a month. And at the networking meeting, someone was telling us about Anthony doing a program for them and how wonderful he was. Okay. So I called him and we brought him into the middle schools. That was the first place we brought him in.
Okay.
And since then, I think now probably this is the third year.
Yeah, I think it's three
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years in a row, and
Okay.
I think I've done every school in the district.
I think so too.
So,
Okay. Now, are you from the area?
no, I'm from Lake Orion.
You're from Lake
So
Orion.
I'm born and raised Lake Orion.
Okay. And you're kind of just becoming familiar with the schools here, and you didn't go to West Bloomfield High School, obviously.
Nope.
Okay. So that's great that you're coming. Are you going into other areas as well?
So I travel nationwide with this.
Okay.
For example, I've spoken in Chicago for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I go to Pennsylvania has me a lot for some reason.
Wow.
I just have a big following out there between all the Penn State colleges and the high schools and middle schools. And then in Michigan, I've teamed up with many coalitions. I've teamed up with the U.S. Army Arsenal Base in Warren. I've spoken at Selfridge Air Base. In Michigan, it's all around. And my goal is to just keep going with this
Okay.
and just using magic to touch as many lives as possible.
So I haven't said magic yet, so we're going to, after our break, we're going to talk about exactly what you do. So we're going to be going to take a short break and return shortly with more West Bloomfield 911.
You're watching West Bloomfield 911 on Civic Center TV, a service of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. For more information or to watch episodes on demand, visit civiccentertv.com/WB911. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
The West Bloomfield Police Foundation raises money to help those who protect and serve the community. Whether it's emotional or financial support, the foundation provides a helping hand to officers, their families, and those in the community. For more information on the West Bloomfield Police Foundation, contact Kurt Lawson at 248-975-8900 or visit wbpolicefoundation.org.
Welcome back to West Bloomfield 911. I am your host, Tim Shepard. And again, I am sitting with Lisa Berkey and Anthony Grupido. I want to explain, we had a little teaser before I left and went to break, that the gentleman sitting here, Anthony, I'm going to let him explain what he does, but he is a magician, and I've seen him multiple times. And so, Anthony, first of all, tell me about the magic you do, and what was your interest in magic, and how did you get to where you're sitting today?
When I was 5, I started performing magic, and I fell in love with it. I was at my friend's birthday party. I saw a guy who's still around today, and he's a great kids magician. His name is Bill Schuler, Baffling Bill. He's like a real life wizard. Okay. Is how I describe him. Then I went to Las Vegas and saw Lance Burton perform at the Monte Carlo, and he made a bird cage vanish in my hand. From then on, I knew magic was special. It's something that I wanted to do. Fast forward a little bit. In elementary school, I got bullied so bad that I had to move schools, and then in high school, I struggled. I didn't really have a struggle until my wrestling career ended, when I slammed my head on the Silverdome floor. We were wrestling at the Silverdome, and I tore both the rotator cuffs of my shoulders. I had a head injury, and things just kind of spiraled out of control.
Okay.
So
you got interested when you were very young.
Yes.
And it was something that caught your attention. You loved it.
Yeah.
And obviously, when someone like an artist like Burton would pull you up and get you involved, that's even more of an incentive to take a liking to the magic field. So you're sitting here today, and you're sitting here with the coalition member, executive director.
Yeah, she's been wonderful.
So what's the relationship? How does this work? What do you do?
So I use magic in a purposeful way. I use magic to educate about suicide prevention, mental health, and I share my own story about overcoming depression.
Okay.
So I named the presentation The Magic of Hope. And the reason why is because I feel a lot of the times in this between all of the homework that they have to do and the stress of coming to school and staying up on social media and putting on this face and image, and I could go on and on and on, that some people start to lose hope. And I want to inform people that, hey, for a while I lost all hope. I was hopeless. I had tried to end my own life, and I found that it didn't have to be that way.
Okay.
So I just created metaphors inside of this presentation. Now, when I go to schools, I don't consider myself a magician. I am just a speaker. Like people hire keynote speakers and motivational speakers. I'm a speaker that, instead of using a PowerPoint, uses magic to convey my message.
Oh, that's awesome.
The reason why is because at an elementary school, if I come out there and just talk and I have a PowerPoint, well, the kids have a very quick attention span.
Okay.
So if I come out there and I'm flashy and I'm juggling, they grab their attention because they're like, oh, cool, we're out of the class, we're not learning.
Okay.
But it's just a really fun and unique way to kind of sneak that message in there. And then the middle school and high school level, it's a lot less magic, it's more talking, but it breaks up that awkwardness of first of all, how deep the conversation is, but also if I see the audience or feel them kind of either nodding off because they're in school or
Sure.
kind of getting a little distracted, maybe, then I can throw in a quick magic trick, regain their attention, and get back into the serious stuff.
Well, it's very brave, first of all, to be able to go out in front of people, and when you have things in your life that are, hard to deal with, and I'm talking about the issue of suicide or depression. These kind of talks are hard to have, even with your family members. So, first of all, I'm just saying you're very brave for doing that.
Oh, thank you.
And it's wonderful. And so, when it comes to the various ages of kids in groups, what kind of, obviously there's a different level for different kids, is what I'm assuming. I'm talking about different message for different age groups. Can you talk a little bit about each age group that you deal with and how you change that message up?
So at like high school and college level, it's my full, I don't hold back.
Okay.
There's no reason to. It's very real. It's something that they've experienced, whether it be a family member or with themselves, or everybody knows someone who's suffering from some kind of mental health issue. And I specifically pertain to depression, anxiety, and suicide. But
that's for the high school and college level.
for high school and college level, even
Okay.
the middle school level,
Okay.
which is super important. There are kids as young as 5th grade who are taking their lives, and when it shows up on television.
Okay.
So at that level, I really go into depth. I go into self-harm. I go into preventing suicides. I go into really understanding mental health. But most of all, trying to normalize it and move them towards a counselor.
Okay.
So then the reason why is because I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. But I can help people get to a counselor. And that counselor, same, is not a psychiatrist, therapist, or doctor, and they forget that, so you have to remind them.
Sure.
They have to go to the counselor to then go get the help that they need.
Okay.
And it's a process.
And we've actually seen that at the middle school, and that was an amazing moment for us as a coalition. We hired Anthony. He was talking to an entire school, and afterwards the kids lined up to talk to him. And this one young lady had said, was telling him what she was going through, and he said, "Had you ever told anybody before?" And she said, "No." And he said, "Well, you just did," and he handed her off to the counselor.
It gives you chills.
It does.
It really does.
It does.
It's, the thing about, I think, kids in general is that when you have something that is very personal and you don't know who to turn to, first of all. So when someone comes and you can open up to them, and it's almost like you're talking directly to them. And as far as the magic in using that as a tool, do you think that the kids are interested in that? Do you see a interest level?
Yeah.
I have been to your show, so I appreciate it, and I thought it was wonderful, and I could see how you kept. Now, the age group that I went to was elementary.
Yeah, that's anti-bully.
And so that's anti-bullying.
Only, I don't cover too much. I don't go in depth. I don't want to scare them.
Okay.
But I let them know, which I do at every single age level, the meaning of abracadabra, which is what I speak is what I create.
Okay.
And
that's the literal meaning of it?
yeah, that's
Okay.
the Aramaic translation.
Okay.
And I was taught this by a guy named Andrew Bennett. He's like my mentor.
Okay.
And he uses that word to use for like Fortune 500 companies and like large coachings and things like that. I use it to pertain to mental health and how we, speak to each other. So at the elementary school level, I really push them to be careful with the words.
Okay.
And just a new way of saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Sure.
But I say it differently so that it's not just the same thing that they've heard all the time.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the idea of using something to capture their attention, because, excuse me, when it comes to anybody, I don't care if you're my age or a small child, I think that you have to have something that keeps the interest level there, right? So rather than go there and, like you'd mentioned, with a PowerPoint, which could be, informative, but I think that capturing their attention with, we'll call it a tool, which I think would be the gift that you had, which is the magic. So you've incorporated something that you love and with a message. And I think that's wonderful. And I want to make sure people are able to contact you. Do you have a website right now? Are you on Instagram, Facebook? How can we get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can go to themagicofhope.com. You can also go to grupido.com, which is my last name, Grupido.
Excellent. And so you check that stuff regularly so people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so on my website, you can fill out a form to contact me. On Facebook and Instagram, I'm very active. In fact, sometimes even, I get this a lot actually, even students sometimes after the events, if they might be afraid to come talk to me in person, more than not, I have received messages after on my social media account, and from there, you know, I give them the tools I give them a crisis hotline number. I give them what I need to give them,
Okay.
but I also remind them, say, hey, I am not a crisis director.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't help you like that.
Right.
But I screenshot it. I send it to the counselor. I spoke in Pennsylvania, and about a week later when I got home, I think this is around Thanksgiving time in November. I get a message online. They said, I really wanted to talk to you. Now I feel hopeless, blah, blah, blah. That second, I picked up the phone, called the counselor.
Oh, it's perfect.
And they followed up. They said, thanks so much. She got the help that she deserved. So.
Yeah, you know, it's a great thing you're doing because, like I said, you know, in the social media world we live in today,
It's crazy.
It is crazy, you know, and I think that the bullying, which leads to depression and leads to potentially suicide and things like that, can happen anywhere. It's not just in school anymore, right? It's
Right.
not where
It's 24/7.
It's 24/7. I have kids that are, you know, teens and under, so I try to keep an eye on that. Have you noticed parents that have come up to you in any situation? I know you're in school, so you probably don't have a lot of parents there, but is there anything that
Yeah.
you have come across where people are like coming to you and saying that our kids appreciate this, or what's your feedback?
So I've gotten parents that come up to me and say that. I get a lot of the students do. A lot of the parents have thanked me. But you know, it's sometimes you know, I really don't get to see the parents a lot. I get thanked by the school counselors and the
Okay.
teachers and things like that. The parents are saying, hey, we've heard about this. This is an amazing thing you're doing. Like, I've gotten stuff like that, but I haven't really, like a parent has never, I guess they have written me emails, but it's more from the students. And that means more to me because
Absolutely.
Because the thing is that, I got to remind myself this, the parents are not, most of the time, not mental health educated. And I find a lot of people around, and I'm not saying everybody, but a majority of people around your guys' age, some of them don't even acknowledge mental. I know people that don't even acknowledge mental health.
Yeah.
That say depression is fake,
Yeah.
suicide is not real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just you being weak, which I run into a lot. And in this younger crowd, they reach out for help, and people just don't know they say the wrong things.
Sure.
And one of the biggest things I try to break down in the school is they have a go-to 3. And the issue with the go-to 3 is that if you go to your aunt and she says, oh, you'll be fine, and then you go to this other person, they said, oh, it's your hormones, and you go to this person, that actually makes people feel more hopeless because those 3 people aren't trained in mental health. They don't know what to do or say.
Yeah, they're not like validating. what
Yeah,
you're-
and it doesn't mean that they don't care.
Right.
And it just means that how could they know what to do? Had I not been to as many conferences as I have been to, had I not listened to other speakers, and had I not taken, which by the way, Common Ground, and if you ever want to get involved, Common Ground, NAMI, things like that offer free classes, and you
Okay.
can donate your time, and I'm sure the coalition can help with that as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say this, that first of all, I want to thank you guys both for coming today.
Thank
and I think
you.
the duo together, working together, is wonderful. Obviously, the coalition is a great avenue to help the youth. And
It's
I think
necessary for the
It's
community.
necessary, I agree. And Anthony, I think what you're doing is wonderful. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank you for joining us for this episode of West Bloomfield 911. You can keep up with the police department by liking us on Facebook and following us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also sign up for Nixle.com and CrimeMapping.com for the most up-to-date information from the police department. Thank you for watching, take care, and goodbye.